Austin Andrews here with your beacon. Today we take a look at the health crisis, a shift in the election. With a title like that, there are numerous topics that we could be proposed and adequately exploring, but one of the most foundational shifts that has taken place in the presidential election is Donald Trump's embrace of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and their mutual efforts to engage in a new dialogue, not about democracy or the border or terrorism or wars, but on health. In fact, RFK Jr., a few days after he endorsed Donald Trump for president of the United States, began posting images with the label MAHA. It is the latest iteration of Trump's slogan, Make America Great Again, only Kennedy is saying, Make America Healthy Again. Kennedy isn't the only one with this health focus, as Tucker Carlson, Jordan B. Peterson, Joe Rogan, Andrew Huberman, the Modern Wisdom Podcast, Allie Beth Stuckey, Megyn Kelly, Mark Hyman, and so many others have all begun a series of conversations focused on the well-being of the United States. Now, many of these individuals have been talking about this for years, but it all seems to be coalescing around Donald Trump and RFK Jr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. helped to host a health roundtable attended by many of the health experts and passionate voices for wellness in the United States and in the Western world. One of those experts is someone that I know personally, a celebrity trainer by the name of Jillian Michaels. Jillian gave a speech at the health roundtable that was designed to shock people into realizing that there is a need for change. Here's what Jillian presented.
During the time that we've been given to speak with you today, roughly 800 people will die of an obesity-related disease that was completely preventable. And it's not just their loss that should elicit your devastation and your outrage, but the immense suffering of those left behind by those gone too soon. And it should also go without saying the ways in which obesity robs our nation of able bodies to defend our freedom, robs our nation of the brightest and best, as childhood obesity is linked to lower academic performance, and robs our nation of economic vitality with a financial impact estimated to range from $500 billion to $1 trillion annually when you combine direct healthcare costs, lost productivity, and social burdens. Our role as the dominant player on the world stage is being forfeited. My name is Jillian Michaels. I am a health advocate, a fitness expert, and a nutritionist. I have no political alliance because health transcends partisanship and ideology. Unlike the majority of issues I imagine people in Washington contend with on a daily basis, this one is not nuanced. It's black and white, it's right and wrong, it's good against evil. We sit here before you today to set the stage, establish the stakes from firsthand perspectives, and hopefully inspire you to act upon some of the suggestions provided. I aim to do this with a story about one of the lucky ones, one that escaped the spiderweb of corporate rapacity, a story about me. Today, I'm widely known as an individual synonymous with fitness, but this wasn't always the case. In 1974, the year that I was born, less than 10% of our population was overweight or obese. And prior to that, over the course of all human existence, being overweight or obese was considered extremely unusual and rare. By the time I was 13, in 1987, I was already 170 pounds, at only 5'1", officially, clinically obese. Today, in 2024, as we've said now numerous times, it's estimated that roughly 75% of our adult population is obese or overweight. The entirety, almost, of my generation, along with the two generations that followed, have fallen victim to America's unchecked obesity crisis and over 170 comorbidities that go along with it. I don't know about you, but I've watched my friends jabbing themselves every day with fertility drugs, praying for a pregnancy. The decades between 1980 and now didn't beget a genetic quantum leap in which our DNA inexplicably mutated to make American bodies expand and fall ill at an unprecedented pace. And while Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z have our problems, 75% of us are not stupid, weak, or lazy. So hopefully you are wondering, what has happened to us? And we're here to tell you. In the late 70s and the early 80s, A sinister series of events converged to change food and subsequently health in America indefinitely. A plague that crept like a fog while we slept, literally and figuratively, blindly trusting that the powers that be would never betray us. I mean, it seemed unthinkable to question whether a corporation would poison us for profit. I mean, the widespread assumption, at least when I was a kid, was that they were acting on our behalf. They wanted to make food, more affordable and more convenient. But it was this betrayal of trust that allowed them to insidiously infiltrate every part of our lives. Home-cooked meals became fast food value meals. Libraries and bookstores with no food or drink policies installed cafes selling 500-calorie coffee drinks and pastries. Eggs became heart disease cholesterol bombs, and Honey Nut Cheerios got labeled heart healthy. The default human condition in the 21st century is obese by design. Specific, traceable forms of what's referred to as structural violence are created by the catastrophic quartet of big farming, big food, big pharma, and big insurance. They systematically corrupt every institution of trust, which has led to the global spread of obesity and disease. Dysfunctional and destructive agricultural legislation like the Farm Bill, which favors high-yield, genetically engineered crops like corn and soy, leading to the proliferation of empty calories, saturated with all of these toxins that we've been talking about today for 3 hours, and it seems like we can never say enough about it. And then this glut of cheap calories provides a boon to the food industry giants. They just turn it into a bounty of ultra-processed, factory-assembled foods and beverages strategically engineered to undermine your society and foster your dependence like nicotine and cocaine. So we literally cannot eat just one. And to ensure that you don't, added measures are taken to inundate our physical surroundings. We're literally flooded with food, and we are brainwashed by ubiquitous cues to eat, whether it's the Taco Bell advertisement on the side of a bus as you drive to work or the vending machine at your kid's school. There is no place we spend time that's left untouched. They're omnipresent. They commandeer the narrative with $30 billion worth of advertising dollars, commercials marketed to kids with mega celebrities eating McDonald's and loving it. Sponsored dietitians paid to promote junk food on social media, utilizing anti-diet body positivity messaging like derail the shame in relation to fast food consumption. Time magazine brazenly issuing a defense of ultra-processed foods on their cover with the title, "What if ultra-processed foods aren't as bad as you think?" And when people like us try to sound the alarm, they ensure that we are swiftly labeled as anti-science, fat shamers, and even racists. They launch aggressive lobbying efforts to influence you, our politicians, to shape policy, secure federal grants, tax credits, subsidy dollars, which proliferates their product and heavily pads their bottom line. They have created a perfect storm in which pharmaceuticals that cost hundreds, if not thousands per month, like Ozempic, that are linked to stomach paralysis, pancreatitis, and thyroid cancer, can actually surge. This reinforces a growing dependence on medical interventions to manage weight in a society where systemic change in food production and consumption is desperately needed and also very possible. These monster corporations have mastered the art of distorting the research, influencing the policy, buying the narrative, engineering the environment, and manipulating consumer behavior. I went on to get my black belt and become a trainer and a nutritionist myself with the intention of waking up the others and giving them the same tools that he gave me. And while I have been fortunate enough to pull many back from the edge, over the course of my 30-year career, I have lost just as many, if not more, than I have saved. I have watched them slip through my fingers. Mothers that orphaned their children, husbands that widowed their wives. I have even watched parents forced to suffer the unthinkable loss of their adult children. There are not words to express the sadness I have felt and the fury, knowing that they were literally sacrificed at the altar of unchecked corporate greed.
Now, folks, this week we will be taking a look at some of these claims on wellness, trying to learn the truth about the sickness epidemic that is plaguing our society. I'm Austin Andrews, and I'll see you on the next report.